In the heart of a dense, enchanted forest, there lay a vast and mystical pond, teeming with life. This pond, known as the Moonlit Mirror, was home to a thriving community of frogs. These frogs lived in harmony under the wise rule of their king, Croakus Rex, the king of frogs. Croakus was unlike any other frog in the pond. He was ancient, large, and possessed a deep emerald hue that sparkled like jewels under the moonlight. His voice, a deep and resonant croak, carried across the entire pond, instilling both respect and admiration in his subjects. But King Croakus was not only known for his age or size. His wisdom was unparalleled. Legends of his cleverness were whispered by frogs, crickets, and even the birds that soared above the treetops. The king had ruled for many generations, and under his guidance, the frogs had thrived. He ensured the pond was free from dangerous predators, that food was abundant, and that every frog, from the smallest tadpole to the oldest elder, had a voice in the community. Yet, as the years passed, King Croakus began to sense his age creeping up on him. His once vigorous jumps became slower, and his deep, rumbling croak grew weaker. The weight of the crown, though symbolic, began to feel heavier on his head. One warm evening, as the full moon bathed the pond in silver light, Croakus gathered the frogs for an important announcement. "My dear frogs of the Moonlit Mirror," he began, his voice filled with a mix of strength and weariness. "I have led you for many seasons, through storms and sunshine, through times of plenty and scarcity. But the time has come for me to pass on the crown. We must find a new king." A murmur rippled through the pond. The frogs loved their king and could not imagine anyone else ruling over them. But Croakus raised his webbed hand, silencing them. "The future of our pond depends on strong leadership. But not just strength of body, strength of heart and mind as well. Therefore, I will hold a challenge, a test of wisdom, courage, and compassion. Only the frog who passes all three trials shall be worthy of the crown." Excitement buzzed through the frogs. Many young frogs were eager to prove themselves worthy. Among them was a frog named Tad, who was smaller than most and often overlooked. Despite his size, Tad had always admired King Croakus and dreamed of becoming a leader one day. Though others scoffed at the idea of someone like Tad entering the competition, his heart was set. The next day, King Croakus announced the first trial, the trial of wisdom. The frogs were led to the edge of the pond, where a large, ancient boulder stood. On top of the boulder was a small pool of water. "The frog who can bring water from the pool atop this boulder back to the pond using nothing but their own body will pass this trial," Croakus explained. Many frogs attempted the trial, using their strong legs to leap as high as they could, but the height of the boulder was too great for even the strongest frogs. Some tried to scale its smooth sides, but they all slid back down. Tad watched and thought carefully. Instead of relying on strength, he used his mind. He hopped to the nearby reeds, chewing off a long, hollow stalk. Using the stalk, he siphoned water from the pool and gently carried it back to the pond, dripping only a few drops along the way. King Croakus nodded approvingly. "Tad has shown that wisdom can often achieve what strength cannot. He passes the first trial." The next trial was the trial of courage. Deep in the forest, beyond the safety of the pond, lived a fearsome predator, a snake named Serpentis. The frogs were tasked with retrieving a rare golden lily that grew in the snake's lair. Many of the young frogs hesitated, fearing for their lives. But Tad, though trembling, knew that leadership required bravery. He ventured into the dark forest, his heart pounding. As he neared the snake's lair, he saw the golden lily shimmering in the moonlight, but Serpentis was coiled nearby, sleeping. Tad knew he had to be swift and silent. He crouched low, using the shadows to his advantage, and slowly inched forward. His small size, often a disadvantage, now worked in his favor as he darted forward, grabbed the lily, and quickly hopped away before the snake stirred. When Tad returned to the pond with the golden lily, the frogs erupted in cheers. "Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it," King Croakus declared. Tad has passed the second trial. The final trial was the trial of compassion. For this trial, the frogs were tasked with helping a group of injured dragonflies that had crashed into the reeds during a storm. Many frogs saw this task as a mere formality, quickly fetching food for the dragonflies or helping them clean their wings. But Tad went further. He sat with each dragonfly, listening to their stories, comforting them, and ensuring they were safe even after the others had completed their tasks. When the trial ended, King Croakus looked deeply at Tad and the other frogs. A true leader does not only solve problems, they care for those they lead. Tad has shown that compassion is the greatest strength of all. With that, the king lifted the crown from his own head and placed it gently on Tad's. From this day forth, Tad shall be the king of frogs. The frogs cheered, their voices echoing through the forest. Though Tad had once been small and overlooked, he had proven that leadership was not about size or strength but about wisdom, courage, and a heart full of compassion. And so, under Tad's rule, the Moonlit Mirror continued to thrive, as it had under Croakus, for many seasons to come.